morning, East Castle Place. How's everybody doing out there? Thanks for joining me on this edition of Coffee with Tyler, as we have a lot of updates today to get to. But first, as always, let's get started with a sip of coffee here. Well, I hope you have your favorite cup of joe or tea or whatever it is that you're enjoying at this time. Alright, so this week, Monday, you received a memo regarding our COVID-19 update. And so again, I want to dive into that for a little bit more clarity's sake in an effort of continued communication and transparency with you as residents of East Castle Place. So, we unfortunately have hit a bump in the road, and so we have had to regress of a few things that we have done here at East Castle Place in regards to reopening the community. This, of course, was not intended nor something that obviously we wanted by any means, but at the same time, I was talking with our board of directors and with obviously a number of you and a number of residents, and I think, you know, obviously we're going to get through this, and so we're going to maintain East Castle Place strong, and we're going to get through this together. It's a tough time. There's no denying that, but at the same time, I want to focus also on where we are today, as well as where we're going and steps we did do, and also some trends and to help bring further light to the COVID situation that we have here at East Castle Place. So you all should have received this memo. It was drafted by myself and Lindsay V. Goot to show the community and where we are at. The one number that really sticks out from the get-go is that number 11. And so 11 residents tested positive in the community through the last 2 weeks. And I think that's the piece that I didn't do justice in better explaining that number. Because a lot of you have said, Tyler, you've had memos, you've had 1, 2 residents here and there, and all of a sudden we're at 11. And so again, I do want to state that this did increase pretty rapidly. And so again, let me walk through kind of where we are to get to that number 11. So it started about 2.5 weeks ago in the health center. We had a resident that tested positive with COVID, and obviously we worked through all of our protocols and our staff PPE and things of that nature. But due to this virus that does spread, exponentially actually, it did spread, and we went through our contact tracing. So what staff members had contact with this resident, what residents had contact with this resident in the health center. And so again, this resident did go out to the hospital. Again, where this came from, again, we're finding that the trend is really coming from the outside. Again, that's why we have no independent living residents currently with COVID positive cases. So that first resident was 2.5 weeks ago. We continued our contact tracing. We tested weekly. Those tests continue to come back, and they trickled in. So I think 2 weeks ago, I go back to my memos, we had 2 other residents, so now we're up to 3. We had more tests come out over the weekend, another 1 or 2. Then all of a sudden on the next Thursday, so we had another 2 or 3 residents test positive. So now we're at 6. So that was last week Thursday, and we had done a round of testing through contact tracing for both staff and residents in the health center. And then due to some additional contact tracing, we actually went further and included our assisted living as well as our memory support neighborhoods. So we increased our testing capabilities by roughly double residents. And so through that, we found that we had 1 additional assisted living resident test positive, and then 2 in our memory support neighborhood. So we did our protocols that we've had in place since March, Lindsay and the team, and we moved them to the 5th floor of our Bradford Terrace, where currently we are caring for 6 residents. And then through that time period of roughly the last week, so we'll call it last Thursday, and through obviously the uptick in testing and getting those test results, which again, we do have a rapid test machine, but then additionally we do a secondary test, and those tests take anywhere from 48 to 5 days. We're at the mercy of the labs. And so through that, we found another 4 additional health center residents. So that brought us to 11. And so, of course, we took all the steps, protocols to isolate them to our 5th floor. That is where we are holding all of our residents with COVID-19 that need that level of care. And again, that's not a permanent transition. And again, that's usually looked at in a 2-week period. So then, obviously through this, you did also receive a notice that a resident did pass away. I want to assure you that this resident passed away comfortably. Their loved ones were able to come in and see them and pay their respects, which again is allowed and has been allowed for those residents that are on that hospice care. This individual was on hospice prior to having COVID-19. It wasn't a sudden piece, but at the end of the day, that ultimately was what the diagnosis was. And so Monday, my heart, my gut, was broken. Death is never easy. It really is not, regardless of the circumstances. Losing a family member, losing a loved one, losing an East Castle Place resident, whether that's from our own East Castle Place family, or whether that's someone that we're caring for from the outside that has come from the hospital, that has seen East Castle Place for the first time. Every death is not easy. I think about all the loved ones, and unfortunately we've had a loss of life here at East Castle Place outside of COVID-19 over the course of the year, and I know many of you watching this know that you've had your neighbors or loved ones that have moved on and gone to a place of peace. But it doesn't make it easier. And so again, it was a tough day for myself personally. I know for many of you as residents, for our staff, but at the end of the day, we also have to continue to look forward and caring for the individuals that are still under our care, that still need that service. That includes all of you. And so, of course, the words of encouragement that many of you have offered me, the emails, the phone calls, the stops in the hallway, have been incredible. So, thank you for that. But going back to the memo and the 11 residents, so currently this is the kind of the breakdown, and this will be further vetted out in a memo. And again, HIPAA is a piece of this, and privacy is of utmost importance. And so obviously I can't share names. Obviously, if you came in contact with this individual, you would be contacted. Individuals that were in contact with the individual potentially were tested, and those tests have come back negative. Again, our percentage, although went up slightly, we're still underneath a 4% positivity rate when we look at testing that we're doing overall. You've seen Milwaukee County going up quite a bit. We're north of 12% now. And so that is a direct correlation and coincides with the uptick we're seeing here at East Castle Place. But nonetheless, let me get back to the 11 residents. So currently we are caring for 3 residents that were in the health center that contracted COVID-19. We did send a couple individuals out to the hospital that are recovering. They had also comorbidities outside of COVID-19. So we are anticipating their return to that 5th floor. Then we had 2 residents from our memory support and 1 resident from our assisted living. That's the current state that we have. Again, we are continuing to test. I've spoken to a few individuals concerning that about what our protocols are. And so what we've done is, and actually due to the county increase, we are now testing residents on the 5th and 4th floor twice a week, as well as staff that are working directly with those individuals. Again, the increased testing allows us to better mitigate and take the proper steps in limiting the risk. I will share that we've had a number of employees out that may have not tested positive for COVID-19, but may have symptoms related to COVID-19. That doesn't mean that they have COVID-19. Again, fevers, coughs, sniffles, aches, and pains are all associated with COVID-19. And so from the get-go, we've been very proactive in taking those individuals off the schedule until their symptoms reside and we're able to confidently bring them back to work. That has stretched our staff and dictated some of the steps we've taken. But again, I appreciate your understanding in that because again, without staff, we can't provide services to you. And so again, we're really seeing that in our health center. Again, fortunately, our staff who are out are recovering or recovered, returning to work and going continue to provide those services. So again, we do have the 6 individuals, employees that are out currently, with a number of those employees that are set to return this week because they've been out for the last 10 to 14 days, and now are back to essentially back to baseline. So no COVID symptoms, and per all the studies and research out there are no longer susceptible to shedding COVID-19. We also took steps to really regress and mitigate the potential spread of COVID. So 2 weeks ago, and this is again how rapidly this all changes, we had anticipated having outside visits for you and for our community at large. Obviously, on Tuesday of last week, we stopped that. We said we can't do that because we had a slight uptick, because we had a few residents that were testing positive. Obviously, then on Friday, we took an additional step in closing the dining room and going back to, I guess, the delivery method. That was twofold. It was a very quick decision that was made. The reason for this is obviously for utmost precaution and security of you all. And so for at least the next 2 weeks, the dining room will remain closed. And so again, that's due to just getting through this, what I'll call wave of COVID-19. It is my hope to be able to reintroduce things in 2 weeks, maybe sooner than that. But again, I think you all have been understanding in the precautions we have taken and being pretty conservative in our efforts in reopening. We have suspended the, I'm sorry, not suspended. We have temporarily closed also the fitness center. We've temporarily stopped group activities. We have temporarily closed the resident treasure chest. All those pieces are what we are doing to mitigate that spread. We also are asking that you do not have visitors that are not essential during this time as well. And again, if you are experiencing any COVID symptoms, to please let us know immediately. Again, stay isolated in your homes. I've had a couple of residents ask, Tyler, if I were to contract COVID-19 in independent living and my symptoms were mild, what would we do? Well, I would ask that you A, let us know, B, stay isolated to your apartment and let us know who you may have come in contact with, and C, reach out to your physician. Physicians are really, working through this together. We are getting, some different opinions, but the one opinion that I'm thinking, per our medical director, is that if the symptoms are mild enough, that it's a cough or a fever or something of that nature, and you are still well, we would check on you daily, whether that's phone call or with a nurse coming to see you in full personal protective equipment, and make sure everything is okay. We would ask you, no different than the flu or norovirus or a cold, to stay isolated in your apartment for that 14-day period. And again, we would be in very, very close communication with you. Obviously, if your symptoms progress, we would ask you to work directly with your physician, and we would obviously adhere to the physician guidance. Again, myself, Lindsay, Teresa are not doctors. We cannot make those decisions. Our nurses can assess, but ultimately your doctors are the ones responsible for the care. So that's where you would need to work directly with them. Also, personal protective equipment, or PPE, is something maybe you've seen in the news about, potential shortages, things of that nature. I want to reassure you that our staff and East Castle Place have more than adequate stock of personal protective equipment. We were proactive even in the times where we didn't have the COVID-19 outbreak, so to speak, that we have currently, to stock up. And so we have ample supplies of the supplies we need. We also have access to the supplies moving forward, and the PPE, personal protective equipment, has caught up since the early March when this all started, and really had limiting factors. I think the U.S. as a whole has been able to, I don't want to say stockpile, but keep up with demand to a degree. And so we do have access to face shields, masks, gloves, gowns, everything that we need. One thing that we are working through, and just from a capacity standpoint, is our testing capabilities. Our testing capabilities are still limited. We still have to dedicate staff members, and so those staff members do test. And now that we're doing them twice a week, that obviously increases the amount of time and energy and effort that it takes to have staff members do that testing. It's an important fact, it's an important measure we're taking from an East Castle Place to keep you all safe. That's a lot of information. A lot of information. I'm going to do my best to manage and simplify this in my memo that you'll see today if you're watching this on Thursday. But again, if you have questions, if your loved ones have questions, by all means, please have them reach out to me. It's been great conversations with your loved ones. It's been difficult message to tell them that they can't come to East Castle Place as we've wanted to. And so, again, I see this as a bump in the road. We're taking these aggressive temporary measures to hopefully mitigate the spread of COVID-19 to the rest of East Castle Place. And I don't want you to think we failed. I don't want you to think we haven't done what we've been doing all along, that all of a sudden we failed and we loosened up our restrictions by not making our staff wear PPE or anything like that, because that hasn't happened. Our protocols have remained sound. I think, if anything, they've improved. On Monday, we had a member from the Wisconsin Department of Health come in and do our focused infection control survey. Again, this individual is from the state, making sure that we are in regulatory compliance and making sure our policies and procedures are sound. They review care, making sure our staff are wearing the proper PPE, donning and doffing, or putting on and taking off the proper clothing, personal protective equipment. And again, I'm very proud to tell you that we remain deficiency-free through that, and actually received compliments on the process and how our staff are taking care of residents. We would not receive that result and that grade of no deficiencies if we were doing something wrong and blatantly wrong. I think the trend that we've seen is it is coming from the outside. Again, that does coincide directly with what's going on out there. You've seen the huge uptick in the number of cases. Obviously, with increased testing, that's anticipated, but Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, we got to do better. We have to mitigate those social interactions that we like to have, and hopefully we know it's for a temporary, short-time basis. So again, my goal is to hopefully simplify the message that I just talked about for the last 15 minutes into a concise memo that will be in black and white on paper for you on Thursday. So that's the COVID-19 update. And now I need a sip of coffee because that was a lot to take in. All right. A couple of other updates. It's Halloween, and so I know many of you have commented, you've seen the staff pumpkins. Oh my goodness. The pumpkins and the creativity of our staff continues to wow. I think last year I thought we couldn't get any better. This year I know it's almost twice as good. It's incredible. So please vote for your favorite pumpkins. The staff and departments receive prizes. Obviously, we're not telling you which departments are which. Some are pretty easy to determine. But please vote for your favorite pumpkin. We'll tally those, and then we'll make sure that the staff receive a prize for their participation. So as you're walking the hallway, please do walk all the way down to Bradford Terrace, past the main elevators. The main elevators, there's some pumpkins past that. And again, we've kind of set it up to be a little bit more active and also to help socially distance. With the fitness center being down, inside walking is great. Definitely walk outside. That's something that I want to ensure from a fitness standpoint. Willie and the team are also doing Channel 955, and again, this is where we'll go back to a lot of that technology focus. But again, going back to pumpkins, please, please, please vote. Give your regards to some very creative pumpkins. Also on Friday, staff will be in costume, and so again, work appropriate. If you have a costume, by all means, feel free to dress up. Halloween is on Saturday. I'll give you a little insight. Halloween may not be my favorite holiday, but I think it's going to be important for me to get in the spirit this year. So we'll see what I come up with from a costume standpoint on Friday. I look forward to seeing everybody around. I'm sure we'll probably take a picture or two and make sure we're posting those as well. Yeah, so you'll see staff in some cool costumes, I'm sure. And so look forward to that as a little fun. Also, from an activity standpoint, we know activities are going to be crucial. And so Laura and the team are resurrecting a few things that we did early on. Happy hours included to help pass the time. I encourage you to utilize Zoom and FaceTime for that. And again, if you are going to be passing in the hallway, you must be wearing your masks. And again, please limit those interactions with each other to the best of your degree. Again, please just continue to encourage each other. Reach out to each other. Take the time. Maybe there was a book that you meant to get to, but then all of a sudden things started opening up a little bit and you didn't get to it. So good opportunity for that. Also to reconnect with family and friends. What else is going on here at East Castle Place? Window washing is wrapped up. So thank you to Eric Peterson and the team for that. We are putting the finishing touches on the outside for getting ready for winter. Our crews are ready. We have all of our salt and maintained vehicles, things of that nature. And so that is good to go as well. What else? Shoot. Chairs. They're still in my office. I need to get them out so that you can test them out and let me know what you think. So next week I will have the chairs out for you, and then you can put which one you prefer. And so again, I think what we're going to do is probably put those somewhere in Bradford Terrace where you can, drop a vote in the bucket, and then we'll be able to order those chairs for Lindsay Hall so that when we do resume normal activity, which we will, we'll have some new chairs to sit down. We got new tables last year. We'll get some new chairs this year. So again, that's great news. If you have any questions or concerns or thoughts about how we can improve the Channel 955, the activities going on within there, I know Laura and the team have been working diligently with Spectrum for the last 6 months, unfortunately, as painful as that is for me to say, to make sure that the sound and the quality is consistent. I apologize. Again, it's not any fault of Laura and the team. Again, I'm not here to pass blame. We need to get it right, and that's what we need to do. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Hunter's doing well. Sleeping is still optional at this point through the evening, which is why I'm enjoying a cup of coffee. But Stephanie is also doing well. I will be out of the office on Monday, as I'll be celebrating my first anniversary with my lovely wife, and also helping support her a little bit at home during the day. So I will be back on Tuesday, of course, and if there's anything in the interim, of course, the staff and front desk know how to get a hold of me. So again, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions or concerns about anything that was discussed today, as you'll probably see this on Thursday afternoon, and then if you see me on Friday, I might be in a cool costume of some sort. So with that, I wish everybody well. Stay strong. I know these are tough times, but I know also the resiliency of each and every one of you. I know that we will get through this together. We will remain East Castle Place strong, and together we will fight this COVID-19 disease. So with that, I sign off for the sip. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy Halloween weekend, and take care. Stay well.